Today I decided to look at a company by the name of T-REX. They're restoring business to downtown St. Louis, and I wanted to learn more about them.
Do you want to just, hear about how we got started, or?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, yeah.
Okay. Well, we are a tech incubator and co-working space and innovation conference center. So all of those three components are kind of like what we've grown into. But when we were first started, we were formed really just for that incubator component. And the way we define an incubator is a facility which provides subsidized or discounted space for a small business. So there's different incubators for different industries, and what we wanted to focus on was technology. And the entire reason anyone wanted to do an incubator was really for the sake of downtown St. Louis. So downtown has been in horrible decline since probably as early as the late 1950s and or early 60s. And what our founders, and this was really the St. Louis Regional Chamber, the St. Louis Community Improvement District, and the city sort of came together, aware of the fact that all you really need to get a tech company started is 4 walls and an internet connection. So we have a lot of space downtown that's literally vacant. And the other thing that's really neat about downtown is that it's historic and very beautiful and pretty well preserved. So it's, in a sense, it's like having a pre-built city, and all we need is just people to inject into it. So they wanted to start an incubator for that purpose of putting people downtown, and the hope was that we would incubate companies, and then once they move out, hopefully they would stay right here in the zip code in the downtown area.
Okay.
So we our first home was the old Railway Exchange, and that gave us our name. So it was Technology at the Railway X, and that gave us the name T-REX. Yeah. So we got a really nice we got a really great logo out of it in terms of like our 8-bit looking.
That is a pretty cool logo.
What's that game that I don't even know. It looks like something that's like very cubic looking. Somebody compares it to Minecraft. Somebody says it looks like a Minecraft thing.
Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah.
The previous tenant to us the previous anchor tenant was a really large law firm called the Stoller Partnership.
Okay.
So Stoller occupied 3 floors, but they were so huge that basically once they went out of business, the building was under semi-foreclosure. It was kind of an amazing thing for a nonprofit to be able to buy a space like this.
That's
and
awesome.
We got a bank loan with a local bank down here called Pulaski, and we were able to buy the whole thing. So we own all 8 floors, which is pretty incredible.
And I assume kind of some of the pre-existing rooms was that kind of useful too?
Yeah, it was. Well, because for one thing, we had pre-existing tenants, right? So we had people that we had to work around. So we honored those contracts, kept those people in the building, but all the other empty spaces we filled in with entrepreneurs. Band's a fan loyalty platform, and they moved over with us from our old building. They occupied only 2 offices there, and then when they moved in here, they were able to scout out all the space and grow into it. Okay. So they're kind of one that, of course, we have to keep an eye on because, they could outgrow us at any time. So SafeTruck is a pretty exciting company, actually. They they just moved here, actually, from San Francisco, and they have this really, really neat safety app that recently was the 4th most searched app in the Apple App Store.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they're doing amazingly. All I'll say is you should look it up. But yeah, they just relocated to St. Louis from San Francisco because they saw the potential here. They're saving a lot of money.
Right.
They have access to such amazing talent with all of these great universities that are right here in the area. So for them, it was better than being essentially like in Silicon Valley, which is kind of an amazing thing to think about. This is actually a pretty cool one. Throwboy pillows.
Oh.
These are in the mall, like everywhere. People see Throwboy everywhere, and he is the person with the intellectual property
Oh, I've
for
seen
this
the
concept.
subscribe tool, the subscribe tool.
That's used on YouTube all the time.
Yeah.
This is their office. This is
Wow,
their office.
that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. They're like huge.
Yeah.
The amazing thing is, you're doing well, you see people rip you off.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
there are,
bet there's a lot of people
so
who.
many rip-offs.
Yeah.
And so, anybody using the term emoji pillow, he can go in and like totally have the whole thing shut down.
That's awesome.
Because that's his.
He
Yeah,
owns
that's what
the
he has. He has
patent.
a patent on
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So we have offices upstairs that are not exactly glamorous, and they look like a 1980s law firm because they really were.
Right.
And those offices, because we haven't renovated them, we've kept the cost of them really, really low, so that we can rent it for a low price for the entrepreneurs, of course, but of course we aren't investing a lot of money in like renting them. So if it doesn't need to be updated, we're not updating it for now, and we're only taking care of, like, as we move forward with more renovations, we're doing like raw or underutilized spaces that couldn't be occupied because they need a big reno.
Is the co-working space like where multiple companies collaborate, or is it?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I think the name doesn't lend itself exactly to what it is. But basically, it's a big shared space that that people just use, kind of like the way they use a coffee shop, like the glorified Starbucks, or like going to the library or something like that. Okay. So people come into the space. They pay only $50 a month. They go into this big open room, which is over here. They have access to Wi-Fi. They can book conference rooms. They can use phone booths if they need to make a private call. They get bottomless coffee. Over here, there's like a ping pong table, and people are using that all the time. There's the cafe area, so they can kind of socialize. The conference rooms are kind of a really big piece of that for people, but then we also have this area which we call the Innovation Conference Center, which has a really big boardroom which seats 20. There's a classroom which seats 40, and then there's a big event space that seats more like 200 people. So the idea is you can. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in entrepreneurship where people are kind of like, you have to fake it to make it. The cool thing in here is that you can just be paying $50 a month. Right. But if you bring in your meeting, or you're bringing in a potential investor, and you want to really look extra professional and look like you're kind of already a big deal, you could probably do that in T-REX and fake it pretty well. That's when cool. In the reality is, we just try to keep it as polished and interesting and neat as possible. Right. And then that way, everybody kind of looks a little bit higher class than maybe they are. You know what I mean? So, that's kind of a thing. We have incubated something like 46 companies that are generating revenue in the St. Louis region. Now we call
that's companies that have left.
That have left. Okay, yeah, we call them graduates, although there's not really like a graduation process, so it's kind of a funny term. But of those companies that have outgrown us, that have stayed at least in the region, we have only had something between, I think it's between 11 or 12 companies that have decided to stay downtown. So that's tough because we can't force them to stay down here, and we have to continually resell this place. Every time we have a spike in crime, we have to fight that, and we have to, we'll have to essentially, convince people, okay, this is what we're working on for safety. We're trying to communicate with the city on ways to make things better. Right. And there's all kinds of awesome stuff in place to make this place a lot safer. What is
your favorite success story from T-REX?
Okay, that's funny. I really like all the companies that come out of here, but I would say my favorite one was probably a company with a funny name. They're called Less Annoying CRM. Okay. So CRM stands for Customer Relations Management. So it's essentially like a tool that you use to create a database of your customers. So this is
Okay.
They are a tech startup whose customer base would be businesses or other small businesses that need to organize their customer databases.
Okay, so it's like it makes it easier for them to categorize that stuff, and even because they're small.
Exactly, and schools have a CRM. Basically, customers being parents. I mean, everybody who's in business of any kind usually has something that they're using. What they found was that most of them were obnoxious, and so they said they wanted to develop a less annoying tool, and that's what they actually are. So they called themselves Less Annoying CRM. They learned about a really awesome nonprofit that operates out of T-REX called Arch Grants, and we have a lot of entrepreneurs support organizations like Arch Grants in the building. So they're not the only one, but they're a really tremendous asset. So they learned about Arch Grants. They ended up receiving an Arch Grant was $50,000. So they doubled in size very quickly. Again, they were saving so much, and they were able to focus on the product and hire so many people to the degree that they actually physically outgrew their space.
That's awesome.
And they started looking for a space really close by, and they ended up finding a really cool office only a couple blocks away, and they were really transparent with us. They came to us, and it's always really bittersweet because we are celebrating when a company outgrows us. We want the companies to outgrow us. We really want them to outgrow us and stay in the St. Louis region, but even better would be if they stayed downtown.
Right.
So there they are, completing this life cycle so much faster than we thought that they would. But they were just so excellent to have in here. So it's just kind of, it's bittersweet to see people even be gone. But the amazing success story was that the mix in this building was so good for them that they were able to like slice their time here in half and get so much more done. So now I believe they've doubled their team size, I think, and they occupy a much larger space down here, and they're one of the companies who's operating down here, driving downtown every day, going to the restaurants. They have the lights on. They're making the streets safer just by being here. So that's kind of part of our rationale is if the businesses are down here, more people will decide to live down here. They'll decide to go to the restaurants and go to the businesses that are around here. And we won't have this problem where people only come downtown to go to the cards game and then they get back out.
And that's about it. I'm really glad that I got to talk to Kathleen and learn a lot more about T-REX. And I definitely know, if I start a company, I will definitely be starting there.